Welcome to another episode of the Zach Hiley Show. It's just me today in a new setting, as you can see, or if you're listening, I'm in a new place, if you don't already know where. Anyway, I'm going to talk about 101 pieces of advice I would like to give myself. So I'm just going to list the first, whatever the thing is, and then like one sentence about it, and then I'm just going to go through it. I might give up on the sentence as we go and just go to, saying the fact. Okay, so let's start off right away. Number one, create, don't consume. Huge for me, right? Because I started this whole podcast. I started kind of doing videos. I started writing. I started everything. My life was changed really by making something instead of consuming something. And this is also a good mindset to have, I think, and advice I would give to myself whenever you are even consuming something, whenever you even go to like a fast food place or buying something on Amazon. Think about the person who's making that product and you'll learn so much more about those things and then maybe eventually make your own thing one day. Who knows? Okay, number two is ask for help. You've got a family, hopefully, who cares about you. You've got friends that care about you. Don't be afraid to reach out, especially when you're struggling. Number three, surround yourself with people who excite you. This is one of the reasons I've changed kind of my career and my job and whatever, my life multiple times, because I found out the people that were around me weren't building me up. They were kind of bringing me down. So I found people that I was like, wait a second, these people look excited and I'm excited to be around these people. So, I want to join them. I want to do that kind of thing. Number four, remove people from your life that drain you. I just talked about that. Number five, avoid lukewarm romantic relationships for an extended period of time. Again, this is one of the decisions that's like, hell yeah or no. Think about that kind of in every aspect of your life, I think. Number six is be in nature. There's a good study from Nature that says 120 minutes or more of time in nature will improve your subjective happiness by a statistically significant amount. So try and get 120 minutes in green space if you can. Number seven is meditate. This is one of those things that the amount of time I've put into it has created value for me way, way, way more than the time I've put in. So for example, if I put 10 to 20 minutes in it every day, I feel like I've gotten, 2 to 10 hours of benefit, if that makes any sense. So like 1,000% benefit or more, lots more. Number eight is have more long dinners with your family. You learn this, and there's a great kind of page that shows, you can just Google it. What is it called? Wait, but why? If you choose wait, but why, the long tail or the tail end, you'll see that kind of the amount of time you spent with your family is pretty much gone. It's almost like 75% gone by the time you're 18 and leave the household. So take those nice long dinners with your family. Number nine, pester more people. The cliche is true. Pester more people. The squeaky wheel does get the oil, or whatever the heck that expression is. Number 10 is take all the blame, give all the credit. The best leaders are the one that take the blame and give the credit. Number 11 is single task. Focus on doing one thing well for a short amount of time, a long amount of time, and you'll be amazed at the things you can accomplish on that single task as opposed to trying to do three things all at once. Doing a difficult task day after day is a superpower that can change your life. If I could give myself, this is tip number 13 as well, 2 to 3 hours of uninterrupted time for personal projects per day, undistracted and focused, will change your life. Schedule it. Unfortunately, I don't have the time right now because I'm a doctor in the hospital, so I literally don't have time for that. But going forward after this year, maybe after the next 3 years, whatever I do, I'm going to make sure I dedicate those 2 to 3 hours of time to personal projects every single day, because really what you can accomplish can change your life. This has changed my life. Okay, number 14, only purchase things that eliminate a negative, not improve a positive. If you think your chair could be comfier, don't get a new one. But if your chair is causing you back problems, do get a new one. Number 15, put yourself in other people's shoes and then change your actions based on that thought experiment. So remember how we were looking at the Amazon products and buying them and thinking about, okay, what is the person who's making these products? What goes through their head? What action steps do they do? Who do they talk to? How do they actually get this product from, their garage or wherever they're doing it onto the internet and then into your home? Think about that. And then in an even more kind of emotionally intelligent way, you can think about when I'm having an argument with someone, a family member, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? And put yourself in those people's shoes, and you'll be amazed at the new ideas and the resolutions you'll come to. Ask yourself, where is the incentive? Who is being influenced because of it? The incentive drives pretty much everything. I don't think personally that there are any altruistic people at all. I think everything that's done ever is because of some kind of selfish motivation. Maybe that's helping other people, but even helping other people makes me feel better, right? Even working in the hospital, being with other people makes me feel better. Find the incentive and you'll find the reason a lot of people do what they do. Okay, number 17, be the person who maintains important friendships and calls on Tuesday evenings to check in. I love this one because one of my friends actually kind of showed me how to do this because, we've been away from each other for probably, God, 5-6 years now, but she always makes the effort to call me, once a year, maybe once every 6 months, and has really strengthened our relationship, strengthened our friendship. And now I try to do it with kind of 4 or 5 other friends, and it's just really, really nice. You only do it maybe once a month, once every 2 months, like literally 3 hours out of the weekend. I'll just call all my friends, and it's fantastic. Or a long car drive. Ask yourself, how will doing this or saying this actually change things? Is it an emotional reaction or a logical one? This is a big thing that I've learned in the hospital, right? A lot of times we think we need to run this lab test, put these images, like do these imaging studies on people, but you have to think about, how does this change the management? When you're having an argument with someone, when you want to go yell at someone, when you want to send a really angry or strongly worded email, think about, what effect is this going to have? Is there going to be a change from this, or is it just going to be, oh, this person is like more mad at me? Number 19, remember, everything can be learned. You can learn everything. Number 20, everything can be forgotten. You can be forgot. You can be forgotten. Oh God, that was scary, Freudian slip. You can be forgotten, but everything will be forgotten unless you take the effort to try and remember it, unless you take the effort to try and call your friends, remember important information from school, learn about, what's going on in the world. Unless you take the effort to do these things, you'll forget all these things. Everyone will die, some sooner than others. Just keep this in the back of your mind. Everyone is focused 99.9999999% of the time on themselves. We get into this trap as humans, because it's in our nature, right? To always focus on ourselves and be worried about what can happen kind of if we do something wrong. Realize that really no one cares about you. No one cares about what you're doing. No one cares about what you're posting on the internet. No one cares that you're like making a fool out of yourself. Maybe they'll think about it for like a minute or two, but then the attention will always inevitably turn back on themselves. So don't worry about the things that you do, especially if you're trying something new or trying to create something and you're a little bit scared what other people think. Don't worry about that at all, because most of the time, no one's going to care. And most of the time, people are just going to care about themselves. Number 23, everyone wants to feel important. Remember this. Everyone wants to be important. Everyone wants to have a big role. No one wants to be a side helper or kind of a side quest or a NPC or something like that. Everyone wants to be a character, the main character in the journey, the main character in the quest. So the more you can make people feel important, the more you can make people feel like they're worth something in your company, organization, school, job, family, whatever, the better they're going to feel. Number 24, everyone wants to be happy. Of course, no one wants to be sad. Number 25, every semi-pro wants to guide a beginner. Think about this. Maybe the super duper duper professional is tired of guiding people around. But I remember when people and I'm like still a medium to noob gym goer, but if someone asks me like lifting advice, or they're like, oh, can you like give me some advice on that? I'm like so motivated to help these people. Or even now when people ask me like YouTube advice and like filming setups and all this kind of stuff, I'm so motivated to help them because I just want to help out the beginner. Number 26, switch up your gym routine at least once a year. Your muscles have this funny way of kind of adapting and kind of getting bored when you're doing a workout routine. So make sure to switch it up, whether this is weights, whether this is like the amount of weight or the amount of repetitions or the actual routine. Number 27, as soon as you feel the bad pain, stop. You know what the bad pain is. As soon as you feel the good pain, keep going. This is, again, I think from the gym, but it could be anything else. It could be that bad gut feeling that you have with something, or kind of just a scared gut feeling. That's probably that good pain. So for example, the gym, when I was squatting once, I noticed kind of my knees, the top of my knees hurt a little bit, and I knew that was the bad pain, so I stopped. But when my outer quads are hurting at like set number 4 of like 10 sets of 5, then that I know is the good pain and I should keep going. Number 28, figure out what time you work the best and treat this time as gold. Work out after it. Have meanings around it. Don't sacrifice it for anything unless that thing is essential. What I'm saying here is that focus on that time when you know you work the best. For example, this time when I'm recording this podcast right now in the morning is I know the time when I work the best. So I've scheduled everything around this. I'm going to work out after this. I ate breakfast before this. I have plans with friends later today. Everything is scheduled around this time when I know I'm accomplishing my best and most amazing tasks. Number 29, if you wouldn't replace it, if you broke it or lost it, throw it away or donate it. This is after I tried kind of my minimalism challenge and everything after this. I realized that I have a lot of junk, a lot of clothes that I don't really wear, a lot of cutlery that I don't really use, a lot of random dishes, a lot of random tech gear. If you wouldn't replace it, you probably don't need it and you probably throw it away. Number 30, don't be afraid to confront haters, but not with anger, with a true goal to understand and help the other person. The most amazing things I've seen on the internet and in real life is when you see someone who's really mad at you or yelling at you, and you come at them with a sense of kind of niceness and truly trying to understand them and truly trying to help them and come kind of to what their point of view is. You'll be amazed at the new interactions and new friends you can make when you don't confront a person with anger, but you confront a person with love. I know it's kind of cheesy, but It's true. Number 31, remember your roots. Remember where you come from. Be proud. Don't forget these things. They're important. They're you. Number 32, go first. Go first. The primacy effect says that you're more likely, number one, to be remembered. And it's just better. It's just better to go first. Get it out of the way. Number 33, connect with every single person you encounter, including Uber drivers, grocery baggers, elevator companions, and anyone you see, because you never know what will come from that connection. I actually met someone who helped me out at kind of my whole YouTube thing a lot at a Whole Foods. Really, I was just like talking to the random person in line at Whole Foods, and they're like, oh yeah, I actually do this kind of work for YouTube videos and stuff like that, and we're working together to this day, and it's amazing. Number 34, lean in. Even when you're doing something that you don't want to do, but you kind of have to do it. I found this, for example, when I was on my psychiatry rotation or my neurology rotation in medical school. I really don't like those two things. Psychiatry is okay, but neurology, I did not like it at all. But I just leaned in, and you learn so much more, and people are so much happier. They want to teach you more. It's just a much better experience when you lean in. Number 35, establish your own personal rules and stick to them. Your rules are who you are. When you break them, you are breaking yourself. This is hugely important and hugely difficult because you don't really know who you are, or at least I still don't know where I am, and I'm nearly like 30 years old. But try and figure out like what your personal rules are and stick by them. Like, I don't really go out and drink more than 2 drinks really at night. What else is for me? Like, if I don't like something to do or I don't want to do something, I just tell them no, and I'm honest. I don't lie about it or anything like that. I always shower before bed. I don't know. That's a dumb rule, but it just helps me sleep. All these silly things, but establish them and stick to them. People will respect you more for it. Number 36 is seriously just start. There's no perfect time to do it. Just do it. Number 37, apologize quickly, sincerely, and without excuses. Here's the proper way to apologize. I'm sorry. You were right. It won't happen again. And stop there. This is the key. You have to stop there. Number 38, what is the core product you are advertising or selling? Make sure it doesn't expire. Amazon, for example, focuses on free and fast shipping, a great selection, return policy, and affordable prices. So whenever you're starting a company or creating a new product or anything like that, focus on the thing that you're advertising and selling. What makes you different than everyone else? And don't compromise this, because you can't, because it's who your company is. Number 39, and this might be a more controversial one, is stay publicly apolitical, unless you're like a political pundit or political something, and this is kind of what your whole content is and stuff like that. Personally, I've just had way safer time on the internet, I guess is the better way to say it, by saying publicly apolitical. Number 40, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If you want to live differently, if you want to do different things, if you want to go different places in life and physically, you need to do things you've never done before. I mean, if you only walk around your block, you're never going to make it to, Africa or Australia or something like that. You have to actually get on a plane, but in a different way. If you want to create a business or start making money on the side or something like that, you can't just sit home and watch TV all day and read books about it and all this kind of stuff. You actually have to do something different. Okay, number 41, what would my hero do? Act like them. Think in their shoes. Even though they're not real people, this is a great, great exercise to do. I like to think about, what would James Bond do? Or would Gordon Ramsay accept this? Or what question would Howard Stern ask? What would my mom and dad do? I use this mindset whenever I have a big challenge or something that's important to me, and it really helps me align kind of with the people that I respect the most. Number 42, don't wallow in sadness. Feel sad, but don't make it an unsurmountable drama. Learn from it and move on. Difficult people, in my experience, to deal with are the people that are always naysayers, always saying, this isn't going to work out, this is awful, complain, and they find no solution. Don't be that person. Be the person that says, you know what, this is bad right now, but this is what we're going to do to solve it. You'll make much better connections with people and be much more respected at whatever you do. Number 43, people undervalue execution, copywriting, marketing, sales, listening, and speaking. People overvalue ideas, social media, grammar, clothing, and academic degrees. Execution, copywriting, marketing, sales, these are talents that you're really not going to learn in school, or if you do, probably not learn them properly. You learn them by doing. Social media, I think, grammar, clothing, and ideas are way, way overhyped. The execution of a lot of these things is where the difference comes in. Number 44, be humble with everyone. Try not to brag. Try not to be flashy. It's just cheesy, and it doesn't make people like you very much. Number 45, be personal, tell stories, be passionate, and be real. I think one of the reasons I'm maybe a little bit more successful on YouTube, and again, I'm still not that successful, but for me, I think this is crazy, is because I try to talk about things that I actually care about, things I'm interested in, things I would click on, things I would want to hear when I was younger. Be true to yourself. Don't copy other people on the internet completely. You know, I'm inspired by tons of other people on the internet. Heck, this list is from Kevin Kelly, who wrote like 68 lessons to himself when he was like 68 or something like that. And I was like, wow, I should write 101 pieces of advice to myself. But be true to yourself. Number 48, or 47, sorry. Or 46, Jesus, potatoes. Sharing happiness doesn't dilute it, it concentrates it. When you kind of, I like to use this kind of fancy expression, like talking about happiness isn't a non-zero sum. Like it's a multiplicative thing. So if you talk about happiness with someone else, if you're sharing your happiness with other people, I think it actually multiplies it. It doesn't dilute it. Side projects and hobbies will change your life. Video games don't count unless you are creating them. This is the same for TV. TV doesn't count unless you're creating them or critically reviewing them or something like that. Video games don't count unless you're creating them or critically reviewing them. Number 48, never complain. This is so difficult. Really try not to complain. Number 49, you aren't using the 80-20 analysis enough. Apply it to your health, relationships, and work. Where can you apply 80-20 to? To what you're actually doing at work, to your workouts, to the food you eat. This means that 80% of the stuff really isn't providing that much of the benefit, while 20% of it is providing probably 80, 90% of the benefit. For example, for me, when I first started doing this whole social media thing, I had a website, a YouTube channel, an Instagram, a Twitter. I maybe had something else. I forget, like a Snapchat or something like that. But I realized quickly that 95, 98% of the kind of feedback I was getting, 98% of the viewership I was getting was YouTube. So I focused kind of 80, 90, 95, 99% of my efforts on YouTube, and it's paid amazingly dividends. It's paid amazingly off. I'm using English incorrectly, but you know what I mean. Number 50, lousy customer service will make me never want to use the service again. Good customer service will make me tell my friends. Never forget about customer service. Wow and amaze your customers, and your customers will wow and amaze you. I think this is one of the things that I've dramatically learned and been inspired by other companies. For example, Amazon, Zappos, WP Engine. These are just a few of the companies that I always call and I always have amazing interactions with. Number 51, the real success, 99.99% of the time, goes to the obsessed person. Figure out what you want to obsess to and then commit 100% to it for 1 to 10 years. You will come out ahead of your peers and change the world. This is something that I haven't even been able to do yet. Imagine if I could just quit everything and commit 100% to something. I love YouTube, I love podcasting, but it's not the thing that I want to commit to. I think at some point I'm gonna leave everything, I don't know when, and try to create something really world-changing and just commit my life to it, because that's where the real change happens. That's where you really come out ahead. Number 52, sell the ability to do magic, not the special wood or feathers in the wand. Ollivander had it all wrong. I want to be able to lift up things with my mind. I want to be able to shoot fire. I don't care about the special wood in the wand or the feathers or the dragons that were in it. Number 53, the harder it gets, the greater the chance the competition has dropped out. Keep going. This is so true. I found out, honestly, in medical school and kind of higher academia and things like this. The first step is getting into a good college, right? I got into an okay college. The next step is getting into med school. I got into a good med school. The next step is residency, and so on and so on and so forth. But people are dropping out all the time for grades, for studying and taking the MCAT, for applying to medical school, for YouTube. People are dropping out all the time because the consistency and effort it takes is monumental. Keep going. Because it's kind of this paradox of the harder it gets, the fewer people are doing it, and the more likely you are to succeed. Bite off more than you can chew. You can figure out how to chew later. I definitely stole this from someone, but I think it's amazing. I always say yes. And I'll figure it out later. You can't out Amazon. Don't try to. You can accomplish anything, win anything, or learn anything. It is just a matter of time and effort. This is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the past 10 years. I really can do anything. It's just a matter of time and effort. What do you strongly believe is true that most people think is false? Focus on that. This is another one of those things where you're going to be making a huge difference. You're going to be changing the world possibly because so many people think this one thing, when really you know that it's the other thing. Number 58, your company should be your dream world. What do the chairs look like? Is there a game room? What does the factory look like? Do people get massages on Mondays? Now, if this was my company, I'd call it Massage Mondays. We wouldn't come in on Fridays. Maybe you wouldn't even come in on Mondays because I'd want people to really, really come into this company and love what they do. This would be my dream place. This would be my utopia. Build your utopia. It is yours after all. Number 59, are you making enough money to survive? Are you adding value to the world? Are you happy? Surely that is enough. I like to think about this when, I'm making a decent living now from this YouTube stuff, podcasting. I'm also a doctor, so I don't really need that much more money. But I always think about, like, what if I had like $1 billion or something like that? But really, what's the point of having all that money? I'm making enough money to survive. I think I'm adding value to the world and people's lives in the hospital. I am happy. Maybe that's enough. Number 60, create something that can scale. This really goes against the thing I just said, but really try and make something that is scalable. It's much more difficult to create something huge that doesn't scale. For example, a website, an e-product is something that can scale, but if I wanted to run a yoga class, right, or something like that, and that was meant to be my business, it can't really scale, right? Unless I kind of expand studios and have other teachers and stuff like that, because I can really only probably teach 30 people at a time. And beyond that, the quality of the class goes down, or I'm not teaching it anymore, so it's not really scalable. Number 62, delegate more. But when you delegate, have strict standard operating procedures or SOPs. If there is a mistake from the delegatee, it's not their fault, but yours. Delegation has, again, changed my life, freed up so many hours for me to do this kind of thing that I care about. But the amount of times that I've had things go wrong because I delegated wrong is huge. Make strict instructions, but also set people free when you know they have the talent to be free. But have strict instructions and delegate way, way, way more. It's your fault if the internet ignores you. Change, adapt, steal, copy, grow, and invent. It's your fault if your company is failing. It's your fault if the product isn't being bought. Maybe it's not true, actually. Maybe what I'm saying isn't true, but this mindset will change your life. If you have this internal locus of control, is everything you do is your fault, the improvement you're gonna have is dramatic. You won't be complaining about the way the world is and all these kind of things that, again, could be true, but the actual change on the things you're gonna do isn't gonna be much if you're complaining. If you're like, wait a second, this podcast sucks. It's boring. Who wants to hear one guy talk about 101 things in a row? Maybe I need to talk about 11 things. And while I'm doing the 11 things, I need to balance a cup on my head and drink 9. Maybe that would be silly, but I would be trying to improve, and that's the important thing. No one will ever be angry at you for saying thank you. I learned this lesson the other day when I was talking to someone, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry about bothering you with this email, but I just want to thank you so much. And he's like, never, ever say sorry for saying thank you. It's one of the stupidest and silliest things in the world. No one's gonna be mad at you for saying thank you. Number 65, you will always have the freedom to choose how you respond to a situation. You cannot always control what happens, but you can control how you react. I remember this from A Man's Search for Meaning when this guy was in a Holocaust camp. One of the worst things probably ever to happen to anyone ever was being in a Holocaust camp. And he had a positive mindset through it. He attributes his survival of the Holocaust camp, of living through it, to having a motivation to meet his family and see his family. He says people around him died when they lost the motivation to live. Decide the why and the how will come. When I decided I wanted to make a YouTube channel because I thought it would be fun and I thought I could provide valuable information, I had no idea about cameras and recording information and editing and writing and all this kind of mumbo jumbo. But I knew I wanted to do it. I knew the why. I figured out the how later. What would be the thing you're willing to fight for, to not sleep for, to not eat for? Focus on that thing. If you do something or you're thinking about something while you're at work or thinking of something before you go to bed every single night, try everything you can to create the monetary freedom, the time freedom to focus on that thing. Because if you can take the time to focus on that thing, to really not sleep for it, to not eat for it, it can change your life. But I think you should sleep and eat, obviously. When creating something or designing something, design it for someone like you. What is a problem you have? What solution would you want? What design would you like? What gets you to buy something? Anything beyond this is astrology before it goes to market. So this is just some marketing learning that I've learned. Whenever you're designing something or building something, try and make it for yourself. You have to make it for the thing that you would want to buy. If you're trying to get into the mind of a 6-year-old, a 6-year-old Lego fanatic. Now, maybe I could do that because I was a fanatic when I was a 6-year-old, but maybe you're trying to get into the mind of a professional volleyball player. I know nothing about volleyball. I don't care about volleyball. So if I tried to make the best new volleyball in the world, it would probably fail because, I think that you thinking that you know something about it without any objective evidence, without any market evidence or any personal experience is purely astrology. It's purely mad science that has no basis in reality. So avoid it. Number 69, employ magical freaking wizards, not muggles. Employ people that blow your mind, that do what you think is magic, not muggles. Number 70, learn about history, math, biology, chemistry, world culture, and music. I like to be an expert in nothing and know a little bit about a lot of things. Sure, there are things that I know more about, but I think having a wide array of knowledge has helped me so much in conversations. And also you start to realize that a lot of these things are connected. Math and chemistry are connected. History and world culture are connected, right? Think about these things, realize these things are connected, and you'll go, I think, a little bit farther. Number 71 is smile. Everyone likes someone who's smiling as opposed to someone who's frowning. Number 72, praise specifically and immediately. Classical conditioning is a powerful thing. If you have an employee, a kid, a parent, and you tell them, I really like the way you did this because you took the time to focus on the problem, you laid out your work, and that impressed me. Well done. The person is not going to remember the well done, or they're not going to remember the great job. They're going to remember, I like how you specifically worked on the problem. I like how you did X, Y, and Z. And so they're going to remember that thing, and it's bonusified by the praise. Number 73, to create a new habit, make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. For when I wanted to try starting to do meditation, I had an iPhone that was only for meditation. I had the app always open on the phone. I had a cushion down there, and I would always do it with a process called habit stacking after I took a shower. 74, do the fun things. That's the thing that you think are fun at least once a week. So I like to play soccer. I really love to play soccer, so I try to play that once a week. But in the hustle and bustle of life, you can quickly forget the things that kind of make you happy and start to think about, okay, what is the point of life if not to, maybe be happy and help other people and kind of enjoy the moment a little bit. Number 75, you can callous your mind just like you can callous your hand. This is what I learned from meditation, from doing like hard workouts, from sitting and studying for long, long periods of time. Your mind is flexible. It's got amazing plasticity, amazing ability to change and think. There are people that, lose the left side of their brain. No joke. The left side of their brain just for some reason doesn't work, or the connection to the left side of the brain just doesn't work. And then when that first happens, their right hand, because the left side of your brain controls your right hand and stuff like that, just doesn't work. It's really it's just like things just don't go wrong. But over time, slowly, your brain adapts and fixes, and maybe you'll be able to use your right hand in a weird way, but you'll be able to use it again. There is no finish line. What track would you be okay with endlessly running on? This is another one of those cliche things about the journey is more important than the destination. Medical school, residency, being a real doctor, for example, you always fall into the trap of thinking about the next step. But if you can try to focus on the moment, what are you doing right now? What am I doing right now that's cool? I'm thinking about, honestly, I'm trying not to think about it, but after I record this podcast, I want to go to the gym, I want to have a shower and all that kind of thing. But isn't it cool that I get to record a podcast and thousands, hundreds of thousands, or potentially millions of people get to listen to it? That's pretty cool. Probably thousands, at this rate, but still pretty cool. Okay, remember, time is your most valuable asset. This is why I delegate. This is why I quit things. This is why I say no. This is why I say yes. I do everything I can to maximize my time. This is why I think money is so important, because if I can delegate things that take away my time, I can free up more time to do the things that are important to me. Spend more time analyzing your schedule. Where is the fat? Trim it as much as possible. Now replace that fat with muscle. So I used to spend 2-3 hours a day watching TV. I used to spend 30 minutes waking up and scrolling on my phone. I used to spend another hour a day scrolling random Instagrams on my phone. And that was probably 4 hours of fat that was in my day. I probably have reduced that down to about an hour a day, because I still like to watch TV. I still go on my phone a little bit, but that's 3 hours extra a day that I've been able to focus on making YouTube videos, reading a book, going for a walk outside. And these things have had dramatic impacts on my life. Seriously, dramatic impacts on my life. This is all from that, creating all this, everything. Number 79, better negotiation comes from understanding the other side better. Don't come in with an exact plan. Try and create a positive outcome for both of you. If you come in with the stalwart mindset that, I'm going to get this no matter what, and I'm going to leave, you're probably not going to be a winner. Of course, don't kind of fold quickly and just kind of lose everything, but try to sit in the other person's seat. What do they really want? What do they really want to accomplish? And if you don't know, ask them, what do you really want? What do you really feeling trying to accomplish? And maybe you can come to a solution that benefits both of you. Maybe it can be a win-win. Write more handwritten thank you notes. Write more handwritten thank you notes. This is advice to myself, remember, not to you. Advice to myself. Emotional arguments are nearly always pointless. Avoid them. This is the same thing as kind of the management. What is going to change from you yelling at someone? Probably not much. Number 81, de minimis non curat lex. The law does not concern itself with trifles, and neither should you. I just thought this was a cool Latin expression, even though I ruined the pronunciation, but the law doesn't concern itself with trifles. There's silly things, like if you were arguing over a plant that you owned or something like that, you probably couldn't get a lawyer to represent it yourself for it. You shouldn't worry about the plant, who owns the plant either. You should give the plant away or take it. It doesn't matter that much. You can always buy a new plant. Play the long game. Always think in the long run. Think in the long run. This sounds kind of counterintuitive to when I said, live in the moment, but still, you should be thinking 5-10 years ahead. The worst thing is that you 5-10 years into a job and you think about, why the heck am I doing this? Why did I even do this in the first place? I have no idea what I want to do now. And now I'm going to be stuck here for another 2 years at least until I figure that out. Number 85, stop listening to junk. Start listening to more podcasts from people you want to be like. Again, this is advice to myself. I listen to a lot of junk radio and stuff like that. I should listen to more, podcasts from The Knowledge Project or I Will Teach You How to Be Rich, that guy, or something like that. I should be listening to more things that are going to help me improve. If you have no backups and it fails, it's your fault. If you have one backup and it fails, it's your fault. If you have two backups and they both fail, it's still your fault. Get the theme here? If you have backups and they fail, it's your fault. For this audio podcast, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 backups. 4 backups. And I've had to use this backup multiple times, the one backup that's failed. I'd have to use the second backup, I think, 3 times, and I've had to use the third backup once. But this is Maine. I've only had to re-record a podcast once, and that was when I first started and I had no backups, and I was an idiot. Have backups. You'd be surprised how often they come into play. Put on a show, tell a great story. People don't like to hear advice. They don't like to hear someone talking about random shit for hours. They want a story. They want to be entertained. I remember we're learning things in the hospital right now, and someone wanted to teach us, for example, about a GI bleed, and they were talking about hematochezia versus melena versus, the count of the way the blood looks coming out of the stomach versus the butt and all this kind of stuff. And another person taught it to me and said, listen, you're the night intern on call. You're in the elevator down to the ED. A nurse just texted you that a patient is having significant bleeding out of their rectum and they're feeling very dizzy. There's no attending, it's just you. What do you do? That was so much more compelling to me than just going through the random law. And something I'm going to remember much, much longer. And that's why right now, for example, when I'm giving this piece of advice, I'm trying to tell stories. I'm trying to relate this to real life because people don't want to hear advice. People don't want to hear, random, boring facts of something. They want to be told a story. They want to be entertained. So entertain. Number 88, you should do one thing every day that you don't want to do. This is a piece of advice that I took from my mom and I love it. Try to do one thing every day that you don't want to do. This, again, builds that mental callous, that mental toughness, kind of when you need to do things that you really don't want to do, you'll be like, oh, I did this thing the other day, so I can do it today. Number 89, don't hire mercenaries, inspire soldiers. It's a great line by Zach. I'm just going to keep it like that. Number 90, your appearance matters. Optimize your looks as much as possible. Be neat. Wear flattering clothing. Regularly get a haircut and avoid sweatpants in public. There's multiple studies that show, for the good or the bad, the way you look influences the way people think about it. So maximize the way you look as much as you can. Number 91, I've learned this being a YouTuber, always propose a deadline. When you're freelancers, to yourself, always have a deadline. There's a great principle, I forget it now, but that says kind of people will always expand the work to the deadline. So have a deadline and make it shorter than you think. People can always ask for a day or 2 extension. It'll help you get your shit together and help other people get their shit together as well. Number 92, if you aren't sleeping at least 6.5 hours per night, you aren't sleeping enough. Number 93, to keep sleep optimal, keep your bedroom cold, dark, and quiet. Have light exposure within the first hour of waking up. Stop consuming caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol. Exercise during the day. Have a morning and nighttime routine and stick to it. Remember, this is advice to myself and not necessarily you, but this is advice that I wish I listened to sooner. Number 94, wake up and go to bed at the same time every day. This will change your life. Number 95, call customer service. Number 96, always exercise, not just to look good, but to feel good. Number 97, no one likes a know-it-all. Be quiet and encourage the other person to talk about themselves. You'll be globally liked, invited, and wanted. Number 98, humans can live for 2 to 3 months without food, and some, unfortunately, do. You are really complaining about the temperature of your New York strip steak. Number 99, the top 1% of the business world runs entirely off connections. Build them and cultivate them. Number 100, if you improve yourself 1% daily, you'll be 37 times better in a year. If you're 1% worse every day, you'll be 33 times worse by the end of the year. The universe is conspiring to make you better. Go with the universe, not against it. Number 101, everything passes. Your opinions, your possessions, your goals, your emotions, your body, and your life. Enjoy the good, notice the bad, and realize both will pass, even this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you, or I guess talk to you, on the next one.